Good morning and welcome back. If you are a quilter, you probably have multiple projects going at one time. If you are like me, you probably have a gazillion projects going at one time. Well, that's what I'm working on today, a project that I started a long time ago that I want to get done. If you remember back in the day, I don't know, over a year ago, I did a video on this particular quilt and I was working on it. And it was one of those, I didn't mean to get it done right away. It was one of those that you can sit it there and you have 10 minutes, you go in there and sew a little bit. You have 20 minutes, you go in there and sew a little bit. It's one of those kind of projects. Doesn't cause any need for thinking or anything. It's just a real simple, don't feel like getting all the mess out, then just do this one project. Well, this is how I'm doing it. This is the quilt right here. It's a string quilt. So I've got, that was folded over, so that's doubled the size I've got right now. And I need to finish it. I'm so close to finishing, I need to finish. So in case you didn't see that video from years ago, probably a year or two ago, then I'm gonna show you again what I'm doing because this is a very simple, very easy quilt to make. And well, it's just a fun project to pick up and do as you go along when you don't have a lot of time. That's what I'm gonna do today. I'm gonna show you how I got started. I had a whole bunch of white squares fabric. And now you don't have to do it on the white squares, but these are 10-inch squares. You can do it any size. This is the great thing about this quilt. You can do it in a 4-inch size, a 5-inch size, a 6-inch size, a 20-inch size. Doesn't matter. You can do it however big or however small you want to do it. But mine are 10-inch squares mainly because I had a lot of 10-inch white squares. I don't remember why I had them. They'd been here forever. So this is just old fabric that had been sitting here, and while I know people are going to say you could do something else with it, I know I could, but I had so much of it that that's what I'm doing. Doesn't mean you have to cut white fabric and do this. You can do this on newspaper print. You can do this on telephone book pages. You can do it on old, like if you had muslin or something laying around that you weren't using. You can really do it on just about anything, but I'm doing it on these white squares. So I'm going to take you down to the table and I'm going to show you what we're doing in just a second. But this is the other thing that's important about this. I took all my scraps, well, a lot of my scraps, and put them in this bag. Now this bag is nothing but scraps. A lot of times if I have 12 inches of binding left over or 6 inches or whatever inches of binding left over, I'll throw it in this bag. So a lot of these pieces are going to be 2.5 inches wide, but I don't want them all 2.5 inches wide. So there's times where I cut them in half, and that way I've got 2 strips of the same fabric, but it doesn't matter because I'm going to use a lot of strips of the same fabrics because anything in that bag is getting used. Let's go down to the table and I'll show you what I'm talking about. So let me show you what we're doing. We are making these squares. All of these strips are going to be different sizes, which is what's going to make it so fun and so easy and no thinking involved. That's our end product. So I'm going to put that to the side. This is how we're going to make it. We're going to take it and put these strips on this white fabric, which remember you can use newspaper print, you can use phone books, you can whatever, phone book pages, you can use whatever you want, but I'm using these white squares. So I'm going to take a white square and I'm going to eventually sew them together like this, alternating towards the one direction and then towards the other direction, and then keep it going, and that'll cause what you just saw with that other quilt. So I'm going to take my first piece, and I've got some scraps out of my bag that I have pressed. You do want to press these because they've been in that bag all balled up. When I get done with a project and I have a leftover piece, I throw it in that bag, and then now I've got all this that I can work with. So how we're going to get started with this is we are going to take our square and we're going to find a piece in our pile that is at least big enough to go across diagonally from one corner to the other. This one doesn't quite make it. It's close, but it doesn't make it. That one's the same way. This one obviously makes it. So we're gonna put it to where it's crossed over the fabric here. So we know it's over there. We want it over here. So I'll just cut it about there so that I'm not wasting this. This is ready for my next square whenever I need it. So this is right there across diagonally. Then I'll take another piece that is at least wide enough to go from here to here. And I'll lay them right sides together, and I'm gonna stitch down this side. I'm using a 1/4 inch seam allowance for everything I do. And I'm just stitching down this side right here. Once I get all the way across this piece right here, I'll cut my thread and I'll iron it open. And now that I've ironed it open, I'm going to keep doing this the same way. I'll take a piece that's big enough from here to here, which this one will be. And then I'll stitch it down that side. And I'm just basically making sure that I start stitching this row right over the white square. The white square for me serves as basically a template, like showing me what size I need to do without having to measure it down the line. If you wanted to, you could sew these strips together, not even put this here, just sew strips together and then cut them all down to whatever size you want. There's many ways to do this. No one way is wrong, so do it whatever way you want to do it. Then I'm going to take a piece, and this one right here will work, to cover that corner. And I don't want all of my pieces to be the same size. That's what makes this so fun and interesting to me, is that they're all different sizes. So while most of these are pretty wide pieces, I'm going to try to pick a small piece. Like this one right here is skinnier. This one right here is skinnier. Let's see. That won't quite work. It's almost there. This one would. But I don't want them to be all the same size. So I'm going to take it and I'm just going to cut it down a little bit. I'll throw this to the side because I can use that down the line. You say sometimes these pieces are too small, don't keep them. Yes, I'll show you why. But I'm going to sew this one on first. I'm just going right over that white fabric line from the background and stitch it until I get right over the line on the other side. So now I iron this one open and see how that one's skinnier. It makes it more interesting to me. Now this one will fit there, so I'll put it here. Again, just make sure you go right over that white line of the background fabric and then stop right over it on the other side. If you don't have that fabric to back it up, or the newspaper print or whatever you want to put behind it, don't worry about it. Just sew some strips together and cut them all down to maybe a 10-inch square or 5-inch square, whatever size you want to do. Now this one won't work. This one will. But I want to save that one because that one's a pretty good size and I can use that in a minute. So I'm going to dig out of my box. A little bit too small, but needs to be ironed. Let me see if this one will work. Yep, but I want it skinnier. So I'm going to take it and just cut it. And then I'll sew this one here. reason I want it skinnier is I'm trying to show you something. I want to show you that no piece is too small. Now see that triangle right there we've got to cover? We just have to cover this white little piece right here. So you can take a piece like this that most people will throw away and you think you're not going to have any use for that. I do right now. So I'll take it and I'll sew it like that. Down that side. And now when I open it, you don't see any white. Now you can use a white strip in here, obviously, but you don't see any of this white background piece. You don't see any of my template piece. That's the goal. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna take it, and since it's already ironed open, I'm gonna get all these pieces out of the way so I can show you what I do next. Then I'm gonna take it and lay it on its back so that the background piece, my template piece, is facing up. I'm going to take it and take a ruler to one side, line it up with that white fabric, and I'm just going to cut. Now that is trash, but if I have a big piece in this, I can keep it for those tiny corner pieces that I might need. And I'll show you that in just a second, because here's one right here. Cut that side. Now this piece right here, I could very well use that as a corner piece. And a lot of people are saying, no, throw it away. No, I don't like throwing fabric away. So I'm putting it back in my bag. And that too. Then this I'll do like that. Cut it here. Now some of these pieces like these that are smaller, I'll discard, but some of them I keep. So there is my block. Now let me show you again. There was another one over here I hadn't done. I take it, I lay it on its back with the white facing up, and I just trim all four sides. Go right around that white fabric. It's already ironed because I ironed each strip as I put them on. Oops, try that again. All right, now all these pieces go in the trash, and there's me another block. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take, I've already sewn two together to show you. Each row will be alternating. This row starts this way, my next row will start that way, so that I can get that block effect. See right here, where this one goes this way, and this one goes that way. Then when I put four together, you see that block it's making? It's making that square in the center and it looks like it's going around. So that's the look that I want. So because this will be the next row down here, because this one's going this way, then I need this next row to go that way. So I'm gonna start, now I've got mine 6 rows across, so I'm gonna make 6 blocks together. And since this one started this way, this one went this way, then this one's gonna go this way, which will go right like that. I'll put it right side together, line it up, and stitch 1/4 inch down this side. Now this next thing, there's different trains of thoughts on this, but in my opinion, there is a lot of seams going on, a lot of fabrics going on, so I like to press these open like that. I like to press them open to kind of flatten that out, and you'll see what the back looks like. When I do that, they're all pressed open. It kind of gives it a flatter look. Now, different people think different ways. If you think different, that's fine. It's not right or wrong. It's just your opinion. Now I'm gonna move my bag out of my way. Bring my table a little closer so you can see it. I am going to take this and press it open. Sometimes it's easier if you starch it. This one did pretty good. So there you go. Now my seam is pressed open. Now, what I do when I start my rows is I put a pin in one side. So here's my pin. I put it in that side because this is telling me this is my first block. And my first block was supposed to go this way. There, that's my top corner of that block. So this one went that way. This one went that way. So my next block needs to go that way. So I'll do the same thing. I'll sew this right side together, stitch down this line. I'm gonna do this until I have 6 of these blocks together. Now I don't know what size I'm gonna make this quilt yet. It's not like meant for a bed size or anything. I'm just gonna make a good throw size. Right now I've got 6 across. I may very well get to the end of this and say, I want 8 across, whatever. But for now I started at 6 to see what I thought of that. I might change that. But I'm gonna keep going with this until I get 6 across, and then I'll show you how we join these to the rest of the quilt. So stay tuned. I made another block and I wanted to show you. This is the reason why I say keep these little pieces. Remember that tiny little skinny piece that we didn't think we were gonna have a use for? Well, I just used it. And it looks great in there. And it adds the different dimensions of the sizes, which is wonderful. The best thing I think about this quilt is, for one, I just love this quilt, and it's always so pretty no matter what fabrics you use, no matter what size you make them. They're always so pretty. But the great thing about this one is you don't have to go buy fabric. This is your scraps. This is what you've got at home. And I know what you're saying. This is a quilt shop owner telling you don't buy fabrics. That is not what I'm telling you. I will never tell you that. But I will tell you, to get the best bang for your buck, use your scraps. This is a great scrap buster. And I'm using what most people would have thrown away. Now the bigger pieces, yeah, you're not going to throw them away. But these little pieces that you might have thrown away, now you've got a use for them. So keep them, and let's keep working together using these scraps and coming up with beautiful, beautiful quilts. Another thing I wanted to tell you before I finish with this is, remember how I had them going opposite directions? I've got one going this way and one going that way, and it makes that block. You remember me showing you that a minute ago? It makes that block effect. Well, you could also keep them going the same way. There's tons of ways to put this quilt together. You can have them all going this way, all across the row, and then the next row all going that way. You can have them all going one way all the way through the quilt. There are lots of ways to put this together, so don't limit yourself. Try whatever you like. And in fact, you could make all of these blocks and then hold them to the side. Don't put any of them together. Lay them out and see how you like them. This is the way I like them when you alternated them. That doesn't mean that's the way you like them. Do it however you want, and it will be beautiful. So keep those scraps, keep working. I'm going to keep going making some more blocks. And then when I get ready to put these together to the quilt part that's already put together, I'll come back to you and we'll show you how to do that. Now I have my row put together. And again, I'm starting with 6 rows across. I'm 6 blocks across. I'm going to see how I like that size when I get it done. I might very well finish it like that and add a row to the side. I don't know. But for now, it's 6 across. Now I've got to find my pin. There's my pin. So that means my top block is there. I need to find my block for this row. And it's the other way. So here it is. This one's going this way, so this one needs to go this way. Therefore, this block needs to be joined to here. So I'll take them and lay them like this, and then I'm gonna pin all the way across this row right here. So let me show you. I'm left-handed, so I've got to start on this side. There. So when I opened it up, this one's going this way, and this one's going this way. Now I'll pin these together. Grab my pins. I'll pin this corner, And then I'm just gonna go straight to the seam. So I've got my seam ironed flat, I'm gonna meet those seams and pin it. And then this should be flat, just like that. So I'm gonna go to the next seam. I don't even need to pin in the middle right here. If you feel more comfortable, you can, but you don't necessarily have to, because they all should be the same size. I didn't even square them up because this is my squared up 10-inch block, and I cut them 2 size around that. So they should all be the same. Again, if you feel more comfortable squaring those up, you square them up. So I'm gonna go all the way down here, match up seams. Here's one seam, here's another seam, roll it up, pin it, and go to the next one. Do this one. And pin it. And then that leaves me with the end. I'll take my pin out. And those should line up, and they did. So I'm ready to start sewing. Go back to my start. Get these blocks out of my way. And I'll just stitch down this whole side. Take my pins out as I go along. I'm not going to bore you with sewing down this line and you just sitting here watching me, because you know how to do this part. You just sew this straight line down this row. When I get this one done, I'll come back and show you that I'm just going to iron this side flat, the seams flat, and then I'll open it up and show it to you. So stay tuned. Now that I've got my rows sewn together, I'm just taking it to the ironing table and I am just ironing this seam open. And sometimes it wants to and sometimes it doesn't. So if it doesn't want to, I'll spray a little starch on it. Tends to help it a little bit. Then I'll just keep going all the way down this seam, adjusting it as I need to. And then that whole seam is now ironed open. So let's look at it when it's all open so we can see the front. This is what it looks like laid out. See the squares I'm talking about it makes right here. You could also do like a chevron look and then do the same thing on the next row, and it'll make it look like that. So there's lots of ways you can put this together. But this one is 6 rows across, 7 rows down, and it measures 59 by 76. I think I'm gonna add 1 row each way. I'll add 1 more row across this way, and then 1 more row down that way. Just because I want it just a little bit bigger. This would be a great throw size, like maybe for a wheelchair or just a couch throw, but I want it a little bit bigger so that anybody that uses it, it will cover their feet. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and I hope you try this as well. And if you put it together the same way, or if you put it together a different way, send me a picture. I'd love to see what yours looks like. Also, when you use scraps like this, you look back and remember a lot of projects that these fabrics were made from. It might have been someone's dress or someone's pants, or even a quilt that you made them years ago. It's just lots of memories tucked into these quilts like this that are made out of scraps. So use those scraps, have fun doing it, get in those sewing rooms, be creative, and well, until next time, happy quilting.